To discuss this ongoing cycle of violence and ways to prevent it, we're now joined by Specialist Investigator in Violent Crimes, Mike Bolhuis. Mike, good to have you on the show again. Thank you so much for your time. So as we get your insights to yet another mass shooting, police say most of the cartridges that were found at the Beckersdale shooting on the scene were from AK-47 guns. I mean, what does this tell us about A, just how brazen this attack was, and B, how readily available these firearms are?
Well, you've said it. That's exactly that. And these firearms, as I can tell you now, will all be illegal. Even the other cartridges and weapons that will be identified, hopefully by the forensic team. And that, as he has said, will most probably trace to other incidents as well. But this is now becoming a narrative, basically, as to sort out problems, any form of problems, or commit robberies, or to send a message, or to have a turf war, or to just brazenly go in and shoot people, which there's some, whether it's now Zamazamas or whomever they have a problem with, very easily resorts to machine guns and shoot randomly. Because this is a message. This could be a robbery. They did steal stuff on the scene. They emptied pockets and took cell phones, etc., etc. Hopefully, the forensic teams will be able to track and trace some of the stolen stuff. But the huge problem we have here is nobody will come forward because of fear. The trauma, any community. And remember, 95% of that community is innocent people. They just want to do their daily work, put a piece of bread on their table and have a bit of a roof and have their kids at a school, just have a normal life. It's the 5% that hijacks the criminals, a community, and leave them in total bondage and fear. They won't talk because look how easily they just go and they shoot and kill.
Yeah.
And then the second biggest problem is the reaction units. They are scared to come and help.
Yeah. Let's speak now to, or maybe even unpack just some of the drivers behind these mass shootings. You touched a little bit on it, particularly around taverns or even makeshift taverns, especially. I mean, just recently in Salisbury, in Pretoria, 12 people were killed there. We understand, of course, from National Police Commissioner Fani saying that, you know, they are hot on the heels of arresting some of those perpetrators in that particular shooting.
Well, we hope so. My concern, once again, as I said, number two is, number one is information. You need informants. If nobody is going to come forward and look, that whole community, most probably by now, know who is involved. But who's going to step up? But secondly, if the police is now doing forensic investigations without informants and they have leads, they should act very quickly because they have to see now if there's any linkage. But remember, a tavern is a hub for crime. A tavern in itself can have a lot of crimes that they commit, like selling drugs. And obviously they wangle pertaining their liquor. There could be a rape. This could be a vigilante move. This could be a family that or group that has just decided, listen, there were some of our girls or family members mistreated or abused or intimidated or hurt or raped. And now we're going to teach them a lesson. This could be a turf war, somebody that just wants that tavern and take it. There could be debt. There's many reasons, and the only way you're going to find out is to see if there were specific people targeted. So far, it doesn't seem like it, and if specific actions has been taken. But there's no security there. There's no CCTV footage. There's no security guards. There's no real relationships with the police. Most probably corrupt police, which come and enjoy from wine, liquor, and song and women there. But the corruption level is the problem, and corruption I blame the police for in the sense that they do not and is not man enough to protect a community. And then lastly, I must say it, ban all taverns in South Africa. Nothing comes good from a tavern. Those poor innocent people get their pay and the men go and drink the money out, and even some of the women, and they leave the children behind, neglected. You must deal with the illiteracy, you must help the people, you must help the poor. The most people in our country that are affected is the poor. The poor are the most robbed people literally in the world, because they really cannot defend themselves and they have no means and ways to do something about it. They are completely manipulated and hijacked in a community.
Yeah, and of course we do know the historical, context to taverns. So the banning of such would probably be met with criticism, we've seen in the past how, for instance, police have been closing down the illegal taverns, at least. But I want to just go back to what you said earlier, Mike, in terms of the fear. I mean, you speak of the level of fear and trauma of innocent people, which is why they won't come forward and speak, and communication is key here. So how do police then work closely with community members, knowing these sensitivities and these dangers? I mean, one community member has told Kelvin Dludla earlier that if police want to work with communities, then they must bring IPID, because, as you've also pointed to, there are some police who work with some of these criminals, allegedly.
Yes, it's a huge problem. Look what's happening presently in our government, from the president to a long list of generals. Look what's happening everywhere. Look at what has happened at hospitals, at contract hijackings. Look at all of this. It's become a complete nation of corruption. And why? Because there is no real authorities. If you have a real, put your foot down president, zero tolerance, with a safety and security police unit completely that is willing, able, and capable, that wants to protect and serve, that can run 100 meters, that can shoot straight. They must be the MacGyvers and the John Wicks and the Rambos of today. The police aren't feared or respected. The community will not work with the police, because the very police is the ones that's going to torture them. I say once again, all shebeens, give me any of you out there that's listening, give me one good reason to keep them open. What does it benefit South Africa, our country, and what's going on? There's just no good thing to say about it. And that's how we need to deal with any and all situations in a country, on the zero tolerance basis. So unfortunately, unless the police completely and totally change, and the community says, you know what, I trust this police, I will go to them and I won't be tortured or influenced or manipulated or asked for sex or money or whatever. If you get that, real policeman, there could be a difference. You can have an information infrastructure. And this information infrastructure can warn about crime before it happens. It's not there. So my heart goes out. I'm bleeding for this community. And that's actually all I can do and give this advice. Whether it's going to change, I don't think so.
Mike, thank you so much for your time. Really do appreciate some of your insights. Mike Bolhuis, violent crimes specialist investigator. Of course, we continue to get reaction following that mass murder in Bekkersdal on the west of Johannesburg, where 9 people were shot at a tavern and 10 others were wounded.